What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Podcast, episode number 2. Well, sort of, I guess. Technically, it's episode number 2 after our return. I don't even know what episode we're at anymore. Numbers just, they become what they are. They are just numbers, lost to time, much like Kaylan, who is lost to fatherhood, as usual. He is obviously not here. It is just myself and Mr. Jin and Chris as we continue forward, as we are back for the time being until I decide, that, hey, we need another 2 months off for reasons. But until then, we've got some catching up to do, and that's probably going to be the brunt of a lot of the January episodes, because let's be honest, January usually is pretty dead.
Yeah.
Unless this time, the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement's a real thing. But that's like the, Chris, 43rd time it's been rumored in the last, 12 months?
Honestly, I think the Switch 2 has already been out for a year or something, and we just missed it.
We just didn't notice.
Because, yeah, holy crap. I don't know.
Didn't you guys realize that was the PlayStation Portal, guys? Come on.
Oh, that's what it was. Right. Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like that could be a real announcement maybe this time, but that's probably just me being hopeful that I want a new Switch that isn't the old Switch.
I don't know. Every time I see posts that are saying, hey, so-and-so said this and so-and-so said this, I'm like, yeah, that's what happened the other 95 times that this has happened. And then it doesn't.
And I love all the people posting online where it's like, oh, I think I got a 3D printout of the Joy-Cons. It still looks basically like the Switch. There's nothing exciting, hardware, the way it looks. It's just the Switch slightly bigger. Expect that. Everyone's like, there's a new button. What does it do? It's it's not going to do much. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's the argument that, because we've had the conversations before, but we're like, if it's a Switch 2, it's not going to be drastically different. It's just going to be a power up.
Yeah. I hope they do a little bit with the UI or add a new feature or a couple new things to the UI.
Put some actual games on the goddamn service.
Yeah. Some new games on the service would be good too.
More than 3.
But yeah. But the thing I'm least excited about is what it looks like on the outside, because it just looks like a Switch that's now bigger because PC handhelds are popular, and I think Nintendo was like, hey, 8 inches actually is pretty normal now. Let's just do that, or else we'll not be able to keep up.
And then I'm here being like, I don't care about handhelds. What does this mean to me? Tell me about how it's going to be in a TV dock and maybe have my attention. Also, are you going to actually put some fucking games out for it? And not price them to Kingdom Come every single time? Oh wait, you're going to do that. Never mind.
They're going to do that. Yeah, expecting that to be different. I'm just waiting for them to be $10 more than what all the Switch 1 games were.
Yeah, but. And it's I keep saying it. I only own one game for mine, and it's Ring Fit. That's the only reason I got it, because I figured it was going to be the only way to get my ass to exercise at home. Lol, still didn't do it. That was a good waste of $300+.
Oh God, I actually.
My girlfriend's got some fun use out of it, buying Link's Awakening. So I guess there's some use that got taken out of it.
That's a good one. Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I have so many fucking Switch games.
But ridiculous. You're also the guy that has you play portable probably more than you play on your TV.
I do. In fact, the way I've been playing mostly my Xbox and PlayStation is remote playing them to my Steam Deck, because I have that set up so flawlessly. So when I'm like, ooh, I want to play Octopath Traveler 2 on Game Pass, turn on the Xbox, but by waking it up from my Steam Deck and then launching it there, oh, it's a game changer. Yeah, I don't know.
Gee, must be nice caring about, handheld gaming when I haven't done since about the Game Boy Advance, I think.
I actually have my Steam Deck. When I turn it on, it does the Game Boy Advance. Remember that logo, the Game Boy logo that would come up? But it says Steam Deck. Somebody actually created that, so that's one of the ones that... Yeah. Bing. It's the same colors, same everything. It looks like... Oh, God, I love the Steam Deck. Anyways.
I realized very quickly that handheld gaming wasn't going to be for me when I got older, when I was able to just buy my own stuff, because I'm like, you know what? I drive. I don't know what I'm going to do with a handheld. And I basically just play games on my TV until it's time for me to sleep. Unlike this guy over here, who's like, you know what? I need to play at least 2 more hours in bed somehow.
I've been downstairs gaming. I need to go upstairs and game on the couch now.
That's
literally what I'm doing.
Whereas I'm like, hey, I've got a desk with 3 monitors. Why don't I just put everything in here?
It's funny. You and me are so the opposite, because my desk is where I spend the least amount of time gaming. I don't know what happened, but
And which is crazy because you're the build a PC guy too.
Yeah. Oh, I love having a PC, but I don't know. There's just something that that clicked in me where it's like I love my super awesome PC, but I kind of just want to attach it to the couch where the TV is. Like I just kind of want to move it.
I think I've cracked the code. I think you're just lying to yourself that you're actually getting active because your logic is, well, if I move around a game, clearly I'm not actually being a lazy sloth the entire time.
Actually, right next to my TV is where I have like dumbbells and an exercise bike. So sometimes I'll have gaming videos going while I'm doing my exercise, and then I come back and I just keep gaming.
Well, hey, that seems like a great segue to talk about GDQ, which just finished a couple days ago.
Yes, GDQ was amazing. So I need to mute myself because my podcast lights weren't on properly. So I needed to tell my Alexa to turn them on. That's what that just was right there.
So I'm so unprofessional.
Did you finish GDQ? Like, did you stay up for the finale?
No.
I did.
When you work at 8 o'clock in the morning and you have a sleep schedule that your body is very obsessed with keeping to, wasn't going to happen.
Oh, I fucked my sleep schedule because it finished at 2:45 in the morning.
And
it was
surprised.
Glorious. It was glorious. And then I couldn't sleep. And then Monday morning, I got like 4 hours sleep before work because GDQ screwed me over because I'm older now and I cannot bounce back as fast as I thought I could.
I mean, it was great to see them get back to form. Obviously, doing 2.5 million again was pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
Because they were starting to drop a little bit. And obviously, with the way the economy's been for a while in COVID, it's obviously not that much of a surprise. But, you know, you want to see them get as much money for charity as possible, especially when it's with the Prevent Cancer Foundation, because Lord knows we are all staring at mortality some days going, I hope that isn't in my future. But, it was honestly great because they definitely... there was a bit of tried and true, but then they also took a lot of chances that they normally didn't this year. Obviously, there was a much more musical element. You had the Crazy Taxi run where they had a live band to get past the copyright issues that would have been with that game.
Yeah, that was literally crazy. Like, I hate to use that word for Crazy Taxi, but I loved that. It was such a cool experience. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for the band because it's like, hey, just play the same 30 to 60 seconds of like 4 tracks over and over again. At least the run was only like 18 minutes, so it wasn't terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they'd have to like stop right away.
Yep. Well, I mean, like,
funny.
I'm assuming you've probably heard of the Bit Brigade.
Yes.
And because they actually, I think at one point they were in Toronto. But I know because I have Spotify concerts I always look at. They're in Buffalo, I think in May or something. And what they normally do is they'll do live shows where they'll have like one of their friends speed run, like whether it's Mega Man or whatever else. I know Mega Man 2 is like the main one I know them for doing. And they'll literally play to the game for the entire show. And I'm like, that's such a cool concept.
It's also one of my favorite soundtracks in gaming too, Mega Man 2.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of bangers in that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was definitely some good runs in GDQ this year. The
other music one that I could think of is somebody did New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, but by playing piano at the same time. So they were doing motion controls that they had set up with like their feet and their head. Like, so he's playing piano, but he's also doing this to try to jump.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's insane. Like having to focus, and he's not like and it sounds like he's not like a professional musician. Like it's just something he kind of does like in his spare time. And here he is with both of his hands already taken away with the keyboard. And here he is like trying to move his head left and right to try to get himself to jump and it's not like he's just going through the level casually. Like he's doing like really difficult tricks.
Yeah.
I don't even think we could do if you gave us an hour.
No, with both hands and all of it. No, I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, it was a very musical theme GDQ, I feel like, because there was also, I only got to see clips of this one, but I think it was Elden Ring on a saxophone.
Yep.
That's like, oh god. GDQ,
and then even like random,
change.
like the one that really got me, there was the Batman arcade game run.
That was my
favorite
favorite
just
run.
batshit crazy.
That arcade, I loved the reaction of everybody on the couch.
Best
when
couch in
ridiculous
that
crap.
entire
100%.
festival this year.
Yeah, 100%. Because how they were reacting, because some of them hadn't seen the game before, is 100% how I was reacting
it's
from my
absolutely how
couch.
we would be doing if we were all in Discord, like playing a game together. Like when we're playing Helldivers, just out of nowhere, like, ah!
Because like they're making fun of how it makes no sense what's happening in Batman Returns because Robin doesn't have superpowers. Why does
Robin's
this person...
like going Super Saiyan several times.
Yeah, like what is that? It's almost like the person who made the game never actually saw the movie.
Look, you may not believe it, but like check it out. Like, what was it? Was it Batman Forever the arcade game, or was it just Batman the
Yeah,
arcade game?
it was Batman Forever. Well, it was based on the Batman Forever movie. I don't
Yeah.
remember if it was actually called Batman Forever.
It is batshit insane. It makes no sense, and that is the best pun I can think of.
Yes, I'm glad you used batshit. That's perfect. Yeah, that one was so
I'm
good.
trying to think if there was any other runs that were really cool, and I'm kind of blanking right now.
I really liked the Mario Maker 3DS one. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, those like that, and all the like the Kaizo runs, like all the intentionally hard like fan made ones. Like those are always a blast to watch.
Yeah, I loved that. It was such the girl running it. I can't remember her name, but like her and her couch, like such a good personality. And I liked that it was the 3DS Mario Maker because we're always getting the console one. So to actually just have someone there and running the 3DS one was a nice change. But yeah, I was dying laughing because their personalities were so good in that run. Another great couch for the festival for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like there wasn't the usual JRPG suspects. Like we didn't have like a really big run that we normally do. Like I got I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. I got really fucking sick from about like mid-December, and I'm just finally over it now. I don't know if it was really noticeable last week. I was still like in the after effects. Like I was more like nauseous and like in just pain from my body, like essentially fighting a virus for 3 to 4 straight weeks.
Oh yeah.
But like I spent a good chunk of time just lying in bed watching GDQ runs before GDQ had even happened, last week, just because it's like 8 out. Like some of the runs that I would watch would be like Final Fantasy 9, where it's like 9 hours, and it's good to watch because you can put it on. It's there in the background. You'll catch a few things here and there. If you pass out, oh well. You'll just catch another part of the run. No big deal. So I'd be watching that, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 6, Mario RPG, like all that stuff. It's almost like my comfort food when I'm sick is to just watch GDQ runs.
Yeah, same actually. That's one of my things that I put on when I'm not feeling well.
But yeah, it's one of the, like, I'll talk about Unicorn Overlord probably in a few weeks when we finally fully catch up on all the stuff we play, because I've got like another 4 or 5 games that I've got to get through first. Because that's the other thing about playing catch-up, folks. We got a lot of reviews that we haven't done. I've posted mine in the chat whenever I can, but hey, like, obviously not everybody's in Discord, so which you should actually go into, by the way. Hey, there's an excuse to pop at the link tree, linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. But obviously, we're gonna be like, I'm not gonna be doing them all in one shot, because obviously the episode would just be, here's all the reviews that you've missed that we've done in the last like 2 months. So what I'm probably gonna do is just over the course of these next few weeks is just take a game that I've finished, talk about it then, and we'll keep going until we finally catch up, because I'm slowing down on games being played. And I think it's just because my backlog is, I know, Chris, this is going to hurt your feelings when I say this, but my backlog is basically like non-existent, at least in terms of games that like I have to play this. I'm trying stuff here and there, and I'm messing with things, but like for the most part, anything that I really, really, really had to play, I've done. So a lot of what I'm doing is just trying stuff out, going after demos, seeing if I like certain stuff, going back and playing old games that I haven't touched in a while. I tried to play the Final Fantasy 1 remaster, and just it didn't click right away. I'll probably give it another shot later, but like I got like 3 battles in, and then I hit something where it was just extremely hard, and I'm like, fucking old school Final Fantasy games. Nope, we're coming back to you later. But yeah, so I've got like 6 reviews in the can, so I'm just gonna slowly spread them out and see how long it's. And now all of a sudden it gets really, really busy again. Then I'll just pump in a bunch of them in a row. But for now, it's January. It's quiet. I don't really care. So we'll just pad it out.
Yeah. You have no backlog. I hate you. I just realized today.
I have a backlog. It's just not your kind of backlog.
No, your backlog is 0. And I hate you because I realized today I have a backlog on my Vita. I had forgotten that I had a couple games on my Vita because I bought one like 5 years ago, like way after it's already out. And I was like, oh my God, there's an Uncharted game on there I wanted to play. Fuck.
See, my backlog consists of, here's a bunch of stuff that I haven't started yet. I'll try these at some point. Whereas you have a bunch of games where it's like, I got this 7 years ago. Why have I not played this yet?
Yeah, I
don't worry about that.
I beat a game last year with my friend of the show that you know, Kevin. It was what's it called? Orcs Must Die 2.
Yep.
Not a crazy game, not a big game or anything like that. But I mean, that game was in my backlog for 11 years. And also last year, Fallout New Vegas, which I had reviewed on the show, or given my review. It wasn't much of a review because most people listening have probably played it. I'm so far behind. That was in my backlog for 11 years at the point. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've gone through when I'm really, really bored, I've gone through my PlayStation library and just been like, I don't remember if I finished this. But I'm the kind of guy that goes, if it didn't click and made me want to finish it, like, when I got it, it can sit there and I'm not going to concern myself with it. Same goes for my Steam library. I'll scroll through it once in a blue moon and be like, why am I worrying that I haven't finished most of these? If it wasn't going to do anything now, like, what's the difference? It's not like it's costing me any money this year, so who cares?
Yeah, that is the one nice thing about
it's also why I've gotten
games
through so much of my backlog, is because I've stopped worrying about the really old stuff and just went, look, it's like movies. Like, I'm the kind of guy that, like, look, I never started Breaking Bad, and at this point, if there was no interest for me to do it in the last, like, how many ever years it's been out, what's the point in starting now? Because clearly it's not giving the vibe. If it ever does, maybe I will, but, like, I'm not sitting here going, oh, I gotta watch it. I'm sitting here being like, time's passed. The same with my backlog. It's like, I've had X amount of years to play it. Sorry, but you didn't get my attention enough to make me go back to it, so that's your own damn problem.
Yeah, my trick is, well, not much of a trick. No one follow my advice. My backlog is insane. But what I've been doing is I always have, like, because I got the PlayStation, the Switch, the Xbox for Game Pass, and my PC, which also includes a Steam Deck. I kind of let my PC be my backlog, where it's all the stuff for the most part that's older. I mean, that's what it used to do, but I still kind of buy stuff and put it on there. Whereas I keep the newer stuff then to the consoles. That way, you know, the backlog, at least on the consoles, doesn't get out of hand. And it's really just the one where it's like, who cares if it's on there for 11 years and I play it 11 years from now? Good job. Like New Vegas 2024 finally did it.
Yeah, like really how I go with things now is I mean, look, we're all in our mid to late 30s. So it's a case now of I've been around the block enough to know, like, okay, I really like this, I really like this, I really like this, I don't like that. So I know what to avoid, I know what to go for. So often now, all I'm doing is looking for things that I haven't seen before. And that's where I get games like what was my big Gin and Chris classic from last year was American Arcadia, where it was like, hey, what if we took the concept of Big Brother and turned it into a platformer? And I'm like, or not Big Brother, The Truman Show. And Unicorn Overlord, which is probably going to be my Gin and Chris classic for this year, which I'll get into probably like in the next like few weeks, is the concept of like, hey, what if we took like Fire Emblem Ogre Battle and then like put like the Final Fantasy 12 Gambit system to it? And I'm like, that sounds like a cool idea. And they're also like, we're gonna put like Suikoden levels of characters in it. I'm like, you're speaking my language. Let's go. Like a lot of the time, it's finding something different. Like right now, I'm messing with a game called Crime Scene Simulator, which is just literally cleaning up crime scenes. Like sometimes you just gotta do something that's completely different from what you normally do.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where I sit with stuff.
I'll always rely on you for all the random things that I wouldn't have known were out there, or maybe I saw them.
I love the fact that I have become the, hey, check out this weird shit that I came across.
Yeah.
Or Eastward, where I'm like, hey guys, like here's this amazing indie game that no one's talking about.
Yeah, I would have never tried that one if it weren't for you. It was on Game Pass.
Yeah, it was on Game Pass, so it made it real easy too.
Yeah. Yeah, but totally worth a pickup. If that's ever on sale,
also
highly suggest.
for those, if anybody has PlayStation Extra, most of Toge Productions games are on there, which includes both Coffee Talks and A Space for the Unbound, which are incredible games. So,
ooh, I didn't realize they were on Extra.
Yep,
but it makes sense.
Yeah, I was looking through it recently when I was like, I need something to play, and I haven't quite gotten rid of Extra yet. I think I've got a few months left on it before it finally goes back to Essential.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But enough about that. Why don't we at least, talk about some games that we finished over the last like couple of months. So I'm just gonna go out there and say, hey, here's my actual, well, which could have been Game of the Year, or at least from the Game Awards perspective, which should have been Game of the Year. Obviously, Until Then was my Game of the Year as we went through last week. But Metaphor ReFantazio, if I was talking about any game that was given nominations, that was my Game of the Year. Easily And I can't believe I'm saying this as a guy who loves the hell out of Persona 4 and Persona 5. It's the best game Atlas has ever made, bar none. Is it the best story they've ever done? No. But that's not the sum of all its parts. I think Metaphor, the two things I put against it compared to Persona games is its story, which is still really, really good, but it's more of like how Dragon Quest isn't the best story of a Square Enix RPG, but it's just really good in what it does traditionally and does a few fun things with it. Whereas Persona is much more easy to associate with because it's very based in real life, real issues that go on in life. Whereas Metaphor is a pure fantasy RPG in what it is. And the music is a little not nearly as vibey, but that's also because, again, Persona usually goes for vibes, whether it's the disco sort of soundtrack it does in 5, or the more like punk rock sort of deal it does in 4, or the more electronic like rap that it does in 3. Whereas this is, again, more of like sort of a Final Fantasy soundtrack that you would see in like, say 16, for example. Like it's very much a fantasy soundtrack. I don't, apart from the battle theme, which everybody just talks about because of the one chanting guy who goes just all in on it, I don't think there's a lot of memorable music in that game. It's all just really atmospheric. So out of those two things, I don't have nearly as much to say about it. Everything else is 10 out of 10. The characters are all incredible. Here's a rarity in JRPGs, and Chris, you know this too, being the guy who plays a bunch of them. How many JRPGs have the final party member that joins you supersede somebody out of your party of like 3 or 4? Very rarely does that happen because generally speaking, they're always coming in with not nearly as much time devoted to them, and you've already like attached yourself to your core. You've already figured out your members. This game made me take one of my core out, and I was mad that I had to do it. But he was so goddamn good that I'm like, I can't. I have to put you in there. You're so fucking cool, and I love you, but this hurts. You're making me take out this dude, and he was so good. Why are you making me do that? But I had to do it. Every single party member. I hate the fact that there's not like an incentive to switch them out for different reasons, like because they all carry the same. Similar to the job system, you can give them every single class that is available and rank them up through that. So you can just decide, hey, you're my tank, you're my healer, you're my thief, you're my jack of all trades, whatever I need you to be, and just go with that and just pick your 4 favorites, which usually entails the protagonist and then 3 other people that you can just, you switch between. Thankfully, there's not so many characters that like you're sitting there going, oh my God, there's way too many. How am I supposed to pick 4? It's enough to go, all right, one of you is painful that I gotta drop. I love all of you, but like one of you is hurting that I can't include you. And then like, and I said it when we were talking about the Eye Candy Award. The aesthetic in this game is incredible. I cannot gush beautiful enough about how incredible the aesthetics of this game is, being that it's essentially like a abstract art painting being given a JRPG canvas. It is just incredible what it pulls off. And like I don't understand how they managed to make it all work, because originally when the trailer came out, and like on screen what's on YouTube right now if you're watching through there, the sort of like sci-fi-ish meets fantasy, like the way that all of these people have armored, it felt kind of boring to me. And then I realized very quickly as I played through the game, that's the one part I don't care about, and everything else is amazing because all the environments are amazing. The enemies are fucking crazy. Like the bosses that they make in this game are just absurd. I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a boss that I can only describe as what an infant plus Melina would look like. And it's just creepy as shit.
What the fuck? That's a description. That's what that is.
Like, I can't go much more than that. I'm not going to give you the reasons as to why that happens, but like, yeah, that's a boss design. So
that's some Witcher 3 shit right there.
And then on top of that, the voice acting is incredible. Like I said it to you, I believe it, like at some point where I went, this game is literally the best voice acting I've ever heard in video games. And I will quote that for a while now, because it isn't like, I'm not talking like emotional performances that are like life-changing or that are game-changing for it. I'm just talking about every single person in that game that has any voice dialogue fits into their role flawlessly and feels like they belong there. Because a lot of the times, like when we're talking like a best voice acting performance, we're thinking like, you know, like a Hellblade, or we're talking like what, characters like say, Troy Baker have done in Uncharted, or I don't remember the actor's name who does Ellie in The Last of Us, but like we're thinking those like that where it's like emotional set pieces. No, these guys just make you believe they're there, and they fit in that world flawlessly. And the fact also that it has the differentiation of being a voice acting crew that is of Eastern, like, or not Eastern, European descent across the board, like a lot of Irish, British, German, like the incentive to not sound American or Western really stands out, and it makes the world feel even more fantasy. I'm sure for those who live in Europe are probably being like, this isn't that much fucking different. But for us, considering everything is just American voice actors doing, no matter, like the French guy sounds American, the German guy sounds American, the friggin' Brazilian lady for some reason sounds like she just came out of Queens. Like, I don't know why. But like this time around, it genuinely feels like they went through the effort to make this a living, breathing world. And it stands out because of that. And finally, the combat, I still play it on easy, but like it challenges you in ways that JRPGs generally don't. Like a lot of the time it's like, hey, find their weakness and you'll figure it out slowly and just kind of chip away. This time it's like, hey guys, you have X amount of turns. If you don't either kill the majority of them, or figure out ways to keep them from doing turns, it's gonna add up. Especially in the first dungeon, where you are not going to have a lot of items, you're not going to have nearly as many spells at your disposal, you are going to get rocked. And if you're like me and you're trying to do the first dungeon in one run through, because it's again like a Persona game, you can just exit the dungeon in pieces. You can hit a checkpoint and decide, you know what, I'm basically out of items. We're going to die if we don't do anything. Because there's no like resting to get your HP and MP back. You're basically going off of the items and the spells you have. So you got to make it work. And there was a point as we were getting towards the end of the first dungeon, which is on screen right now again for folks watching on YouTube, where I went, I know I'm close. I have about 7 healing items left to varying extents and 2 items that are going to heal MP. I'm almost out. Do I keep pushing forward because I think I'm close? And if I'm wrong, I'm in real trouble. And it's that part that makes it fun. Now, granted, you could just play on story and breeze through it. And I honestly did that in Persona 5 originally, because it got to the point where I was going off of a 100% guide, and I'm like, man, I need to be able to finish this first dungeon in one go, because I'm not going to be able to catch up to things after this. And thankfully, this game with a similar setup, and you have like off times where you can go meet with certain friends or NPCs, and what they do is as you rank them, they give you more abilities. Like some may unlock new classes for you, some may give you discounts in shops, which that's a big one too. If anybody hasn't played this game before and you meet Brigitta, I don't know how it's pronounced, but if you see her, and you'll know because she's a dark elf and she's fucking gorgeous, you can't miss her. She gives you major store discounts. You want to get her, because you rank up to as far as 8. You want to get her to 4 ASAP, because being able to buy armor and weapons for like, I think it's like a 20 or 30% discount is an absolute changer for the rest of your runs, especially in the first few dungeons when you're not going to have nearly as much funds to come from. So it's stuff like that where it all adds up, and depending on how you go about it means that certain things are going to help you in the long term. Granted, generally speaking, you're going to be able to have enough time to do almost everything in one run anyway. They've done a smarter thing this time around. In the old Persona games, like, you had dialogue that you could pick, and depending on if you pick the right dialogue or not, you get more points towards their rank ups. This time, it's literally just spend time with them, and at certain points, you're gonna hit your rank up. Don't worry about what you say, because it allows you finally just to play how you want to play. Because that was always a part about Persona that I don't like, where if you're trying to 100% it, you have to go off a guide which says, say this, which kind of takes away the freedom of kind of being yourself into it. And I hope that they take this from metaphor and put it into, say, Persona 6, where it's, hey, just go be yourself. If you want to be a witty piece of shit, go be the witty piece of shit. If you want to be compassionate, go be compassionate. So, taking everything together, freedom is important. The story, the atmosphere, the level design, which is fantastic, the bosses, everything they do all together, and having an ending that is finite and just gives a little bit extra for you to kind of have some fun with. Not like an extra dungeon or anything, but just a little bit of extra story to give you a bit of closure. Sounds like they might be thinking about doing a second one. I don't know if it's a continuation or just in the same universe, but it's a game that in the like 80-ish hours I think it took me to do, and I basically like full cleared it. I got everything I could ever want out of that, and I left that game. It's not the same feeling that I have like with, say, a Final Fantasy VI, where I feel like it really did change my perception of things. Metaphor is just a game that I go at. This is a perfected JRPG to the point you can perfect a game. There is almost nothing wrong with it. There are just maybe things that aren't nearly as strong as it, but like no game is going to have 10s across the board for every single part on the checklist. So I would say if you're a JRPG guy, this is a must play. I don't know if I would suggest it for newcomers because it is very difficult. Like, obviously, you could play it in story mode, but I think I would point at more old school games, or even just have them go back and play, say the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, because that's such a very good bare bones JRPG to get into before I say, hey, tackle this. Because there's a lot going on in this. And also with the social link sort of stuff that they do, there's a lot to manage that maybe for a first timer it's going to be a little overwhelming. But like if you're a casual JRPG player, you'll probably be able to handle this. And if you're a hardcore JRPG player, you've probably already finished this game, but just in case, go play it. But otherwise, I know we used to do our 6s. I don't know, you guys might still do it. I'm trying to like stick in a way that I think like every single person that listens to this can go for. It's a 10. I'll just say that. Like, if we were saying it was a 6, it's a 6. But I think, like, traditionally, to make it easier for people to kind of gauge it, it's a 10 out of 10. Like, this is as good as it's going to get for this era. And I want to keep in mind, too, that, again, when we say 10 or 6 or however we're rating our scales, when we say it's the best score possible, doesn't mean it's perfect. It just means it's the best that we think is capable by most developers these days. Because let's be honest, the perfect game is never going to happen. And if it did, Final Fantasy VI already happened, so there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, we already peaked.
But enough about me, because I rambled on for quite a bit there. But it's my favorite game, or favorite JRPG from last year. So, and also there was 80 hours worth to talk about. And that's not even talking about like so many different moments and characters that I love in that game. Except, I'll just say one more thing. There is one character in that fucking game who is a pink-haired bunny girl, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a pink-haired bunny girl. But I'm just pointing it out so that people know when they get to it. She's not a playable character, and I'm fucking furious about it because she's my goddamn favorite. I talked about it last week. I just got to reiterate again because I'm still angry about it.
Yeah, you definitely sound angry about it. I'm not gonna lie, your review's making me not just want to play this game, but actually go and play the Persona games, which I've just never played before. And Persona 3 is on Game Pass, and I don't know for how much longer.
Yeah, Persona 3 Reload would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because if you start at Persona 5, it's going to be hard to go back and play the older ones, because the dungeons in 3 and 4 are more procedurally generated. They're not like uniquely crafted. So it's a little harder to enjoy them when you've played 5 first. So I always tell people if they want to get into Persona, especially now with Reload existing, so that there's a remake of one of them, go and play Persona 3 Reload first so you get the vibe of what Persona is, so that when you get to Persona 5 Royal, because you'll want to play Royal because it's the culmination of everything, you're getting the best possible Persona experience. And having already played one of them, you now know, like, wow, this is what it's evolved into.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely selling me on getting into an Atlas game, because
which is great, because of course to add to your
fantastic
backlog, what's another 40 to 60 hours?
Joke's
but it is a great
you.
Steam Deck game, so you know what? It's not the worst thing.
Yeah, with it being on Game Pass, I'd probably stream from the Xbox to the Steam Deck or something like that with it. See, man, handhelds. I'm telling you, they're taking over my life. Yeah, speaking of handhelds, though, the game I'm going to talk about that I played, I'm bringing it up for 2 reasons. One, just because obviously we've been talking about handhelds, and this game was originally a handheld game. And 2, and it's actually one that I had talked a little bit about with our Discord community, because, we weren't podcasting. We needed to talk about this game because I'm conflicted on it, and I think I have a maybe a little controversial of a review here.
Are we getting some hot takes?
I don't know if it's a hot take, because I don't really know how people feel about this game. It's Gravity Rush. It was a game I was playing before. I got Gravity Rush remastered as well as Gravity Rush 2 on the PS5. I was in a big like Sony first party title kind of thing vibe. I didn't have the Vita originally. I did get one, but I got it like much later. I didn't have a PS4. I was a PC only guy, so a lot of stuff I missed out on. And I was playing through a bunch of PlayStation games. You know, I mentioned a bunch last year, like Infamous, Second Son, and all that kind of stuff. Amazing PlayStation games are always fantastic. But Gravity Rush Remastered was one I was struggling with. And it's weird because it's not a long game. It's not like it's 80 hours, so I would get burnt out. I think I beat the game in a total of maybe around 10 hours, something like that. It is a very normal, decent length of game. And the remaster is great in the sense like this was a Vita game and they brought it to the PS4/PS5. And it, you know, it runs fantastic. There's no glitches, solid 60 FPS. The graphics have been updated for the most part and all that kind of good stuff. It's a tough game to recommend. And the reason it's tough is because I love and hate this game. In the end, when it was over, I have very fond memories of it and really enjoyed it. You know, some of the moments in it, some of the moves I pulled off, some of the game mechanics, some of the story elements, just some of that stuff I loved. Like there was parts I was like, oh, this game is so cool. And then there was other parts where I was like, I want to throw this game. Like I only have digital right now, but I want to buy a copy of this game, throw it out my window because I am so angry with it. It is definitely something that is really tough to recommend. It is the best thing I can say here to kind of describe why it's frustrating is the main mechanic in the game, which is the whole gravity manipulation. There are parts of it that are really cool. Like you will be able to just float and like launch yourself in any direction you really want. As long as you have enough gravity power, you can go there and then flip upside down and you're actually standing underneath a building. And all this other cool stuff. And it's very cool because the setting of the game is kind of like this floating city, and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool because like, yes, the buildings themselves are floating. So you can actually like float to go underneath a building and all this really cool stuff. I love the gravity traversal of the game. My issue is that you basically have to master the gravity combat, which can be annoying as all freaking hell. And if anybody is watching the video version of the podcast, you're going to kind of see with a battle that's happening right now on the screen. You can see that Cat, the main character, wasn't just like going up and fighting enemies like a traditional action game. In fact, you try and do that, you just won't win. A lot of the enemies actually have like this weak spot that looks like this glowing eye, and you have to hit it from the direction that it is visible, which is almost never on the ground where you could just run up and kick like a normal action game. So you have to go into the gravity mode and launch yourself with like a gravity kick and all these other moves that you learn along the way. And I've seen people on YouTube play this where it's like they have mastered the game and they are doing these crazy tricks from crazy distances, taking out enemies really fast. And when they do it, the game looks really enjoyable. But then when you're just an average gamer playing this, maybe you're not a Gravity Rush aficionado who's played the game for like 100 hours or something, you're not as great with it. So you'll go to launch yourself into the air, stop, turn around, find the enemy you want to attack, and then launch yourself at it. But then sometimes the enemy moves. And when you've launched yourself, it's not like you home in and move. You're going at extreme speeds in one direction. And if you miss that enemy, you need to stop yourself again in midair, readjust, find the enemy, and fire yourself off again. All of this is on a countdown as well, because when you're in the air, your gravity bar, the blue circle around near your health, is slowly going down. And when you're in the air, it's slowly going. And when you launch yourself, it goes down faster. When you launch yourself in a direction just to travel or even an attack, you're losing that gravity. And if you're not above a platform or you're like underneath it because you've kind of reversed gravity and you run out, you just fall. And you fall like a normal person would. You wait till the cooldown of like 5 seconds happens where all your gravity power comes back. But then again, now you're just stopping yourself in midair somewhere, nowhere near the enemies you were fighting, and you've got to launch yourself back. And I even had it where I got so far away from the enemies I was fighting that I launched myself back and my gravity bar ran out again before I even got back to where the enemies were. So I started to fall again. I'd have to wait for the cooldown of like a few seconds. All of a sudden, all my gravity's back. I'd stop myself from falling, launch myself back towards the enemies. And it was just became like this managing your energy. Hopefully you don't fall in the wrong direction. Hopefully you don't miss the enemy you're going for, because it can be really, really annoying. It wouldn't be too bad if, as you get further in the game, there's all these flying enemies that you can't attack from the ground even if you wanted to, and bosses that'll have like 15 different weak points that you need to hit. So you're just kind of like in the air, gravity attack, hit one weak point. Gravity, stop yourself in gravity in the air, attack the next weak. And you just keep trying to do that while this boss is also moving in midair, and you're trying to attack these weak points while managing this energy and not like falling to your death. It can be really, really frustrating, especially some of the bosses. Obviously, I know that some people online I saw was like, oh, you need to level up your powers more and stuff like that. But then it became just like, okay, so in this shorter game, you need to go around this city where there was like jewels just everywhere, collectibles literally everywhere. And when you get them, they're kind of like a currency which you can use to upgrade more health, more gravity power, makes your gravity kick stronger, all of this different stuff. And it's great on paper, and in some cases, cinematically, it just works so well. It was so cool. And then in other fights, I was dying on the easiest difficulty because I would just die from trying to attack these weak points using this gravity mechanic. So it's like I have this love-hate relationship with it because, again, there might be a part where it's like I need to travel from this building to the other end of the city. And instead of running through it like a normal game, you can just launch yourself with gravity. And I got really good at doing that because, again, it's a building that's not moving and where I've got to go and all that. But then all of a sudden, 15 enemies show up and it's like kill the 15 enemies so that the next part of the story will happen. And it's like I'm struggling to get the last 3 of them because they're constantly moving and they're in an annoying spot. And it's just kind of got really, really repetitive and annoying. That's actually another thing I would say about the combat. Besides the enemies changing, like one would be like a giant flower with a bunch of weak points on it. The next enemy is this giant flying serpent thing with, again, a bunch of weak points on it. So the gameplay never really changed. The strategy was almost the same throughout the whole game, minus upgrading those powers so that you can survive. The enemies would change, but they just kind of got more annoying, if anything. So extremely repetitive combat, and a combat that's like amazing in the few times that it works, and then frustrating as all hell when it's not working, right? So definitely something that I have very mixed feelings about. It is nowhere near like a 6 out of 6, 10 out of 10 kind of situation. I honestly am kind of right in the middle, like a 3 out of 6 or a 5 out of 10. And I don't mean that like other reviewers where a 5 out of 10 is like a 0 out of 10. I mean that in the sense that this is like half of the game is incredible and then half of the game kind of sucks. So it's like a 3 out of 3 when it comes to traversal and kind of the cool world and that kind of stuff that they built and some cool characters. And then it's a 0 out of 3 for me for other stuff where it's like annoying, hard, but like just because of the mechanics, not because of like a fun difficulty combat, repetitive combat, and just kind of it does feel like it was a mobile game sometimes because it has like 21 chapters and it really does feel like it was meant that you would open up. It was originally a PlayStation Vita game. You'd pull it out. You'd play maybe one chapter of the game. Maybe you only have half an hour to play. You'd just travel around the city and find collectibles. Like it feels like something if you're playing maybe just 20 to 30 minutes at a time. Yeah, you probably won't get annoyed with it. It'll take you forever to finish, but you won't be annoyed with it, and that's probably what it originally was. On the PS4 and PS5, where it's a sit down and just play 8 to 10 hours straight, you gotta like really like the idea of like being a girl named Cat with a gravity cat who uses gravity to launch herself across the city. Like you've got to really like that idea a lot, kind of forgive all the rest of the game, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the part like I've never played Gravity Rush. Just from watching it, like it feels almost like it can be very disorienting at times.
Extremely.
Which is probably helpful when it's handheld. I don't know if it would be a great one to be like right next up to on a TV or something, but
yeah, and like it uses the gyro controls for aiming too on the controller, which was kind of neat. I think on the Vita, where it was like purely gyro controls, most of your aiming was just like actually aiming the Vita. Maybe it was a lot easier designed around that, where it's fully just like the handheld you're using. But it is super disorienting because again, if you land underneath a building, the camera actually flips so it looks like you're standing upright. So you don't realize sometimes until all of a sudden you hear that warning that your gravity power is going to run out, that you're actually upside down. You forgot that you've kind of landed on that part, or you're on the side of a building. Because again, the camera always orientates you like you're standing upright. So I guess that you're not confused where you are, but it ends up just being confusing because again, all of a sudden the gravity power runs out and the camera flips right back around and you start falling because it's like, hey, you used up all your gravity. It's like, oh, I was upside down that whole point. And sometimes, it won't, you think you're standing on the ground, but you landed on the ground at a slight angle. So your gravity power is still running out. And it turns out you're not standing upright, you're standing like this. But the game isn't smart enough to just be like, oh, yeah, close enough. Yeah, no, you're not using gravity. You're standing on this platform. It's like, oh, you're standing on your normal ground, but at an angle. You must want to do that on purpose for some reason. And then all of a sudden, all the enemies are there and you have no gravity power because you've been standing in a dumb position this entire time. Yeah, so, very.
It almost seems like a game that's more of like great proof of concept. And then they didn't flesh it out the way that I think most of us would have intended to. Now, there's probably certain people out there that like whatever options they did go for hits them perfectly, but like it seems like for the average person, it's not exactly like the hitter that you'd be looking for.
Yeah, no, I would definitely call it a niche game. Now, I haven't played Gravity Rush 2. I do own it. It's funny, when I beat Gravity Rush 1, I was like, I don't care I bought Gravity Rush 2. I'm not playing it. Like, I don't care for it. That first game, I got through it. And the reason I got through it, by the way, is I streamed it to my Steam Deck. I basically emulated the Vita experience, I guess, in a way. So I was able to get through it that way. But now that it's been a bit, I almost want to start up Gravity Rush 2 to see, obviously that was a made for console game. That wasn't for the Vita or anything. I'm very curious if it's a much better experience, if there's a lot more quality of life improvements and stuff like that, because again, it was a direct like PS4 sequel versus a Vita. And I'd be very curious. So if there's anybody listening to this, you can either join us in our Discord and message, or go into the comments below the video. Let me know if Gravity Rush 2 is just more of the same, or if it is a much better experience, and I really should give that one a go. Because I am genuinely curious, but I have a backlog, so yeah, I need to know where I put my energy. You just
added like at least like 4 JRPGs with all the personas and metaphors, so you're busy.
Yeah, and I console share with you, so I just also realized that I don't know if 4's on there, but I know you have 5. I know you have like the Royal Edition of 5 on PS5. Yeah, I don't know if you have 4, but also 4 is like the most affordable one, because Persona 4 Golden is like $17 Canadian on sale.
I think I've got it on my PS4 because I think they ported Golden to. I can't remember.
I think so.
It's been so
because
long.
it was on Game Pass.
I may actually.
They do have it on
Xbox.
Not.
Because I do have a copy on the Vita because I did get the PlayStation TV back in the day.
Right. Well, I mean, even if I buy that one eventually,
it's the one so expensive on Steam. Probably.
No, it's 26 Canadian dollars normal price. It's such a weird price. But it is super affordable when it's not even on sale. It goes down to like 17, 16 Canadian every Steam sale. So I'll grab it. It runs apparently flawless on the Steam Deck, and that will be a perfect Steam Deck game.
Absolutely. So the last meat and potatoes we want to talk about, we would have talked about it last week, but we had our own awards to do it, and let's be honest, we are way more important than Jeff Keighley, so.
Oh, yeah, and higher paid.
So the Game Awards, I'm not going to talk too much about the actual awards themselves, because let's be real, like most of them were pretty inconsequential. Also, all that matters is I won on stream. We didn't stream it, but we were all hanging out in the Discord watching it live, and I guessed more of them correctly. So you know what? That's all that really matters. But obviously, we want to talk about Game of the Year, that being really the main one. We never got the chance to talk about it because the nominations came out, I think, the episode we would have recorded when we decided to take the hiatus. And I'm glad that Astrobot won. I'm a little disappointed because they were making me get my hopes up that Metaphor Balatro might have actually won it, because Metaphor cleaned JRPG or cleaned RPGs and even took graphics.
Yeah, I got something.
Not
graphics,
art direction from
art
Final
direction,
Fantasy, which I thought was a shoo-in.
Yeah.
So like I was sitting there going, "Oh my god, Balatro clearly like is getting a ton of awards, and Metaphor is taking out Remake, or Rebirth, which I thought was going to be Game of the Year. Holy shit, they might actually win." And then it was Astrobot, and I went, "You know what? If there's any award that will win that it's not going to make me angry, it's that." But damn it.
Giving anything to Astrobot, because it's like, to me, it's the perfect video game. It's not like it's the best at any. It's not like
it was the safe choice. Let's be honest.
It's safe, but it's almost like the perfect video game in the way that like Super Mario World is the perfect video game. It's just, you can give it to anybody, and it's delightful to everyone. And when you think about Astrobot, it runs flawless. It sounds flawless. It's adorable. It's heartwarming. It makes you feel good. It's fun to play whether you're good, bad, or excellent at video games. It's kind of just like that perfect game, like pizza. Is pizza going to win many awards? Not usually. But is it kind of one of the perfect foods? Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, to go over the other ones, I mean, obviously the biggest talking point for a while was Shadow of the Erdtree getting a nomination. I hold very true, and I think we all kind of do between the three of us. It should not have gotten a nomination, not because we don't think it's deserving of getting nominations for awards, period, but because it's, whether or not you want to argue that it's its own game, it is an expansion to an already existing game. In the same way that, like, no matter how good Phantom Liberty was for Cyberpunk, it was best ongoing game. That was what it's for. And it's not, to me, I said it from the very beginning, I don't care that if it's actually the best thing that came out all year. It's taking an award nomination away from a studio who should be getting props. The fact that Arrowhead didn't get that for Helldivers 2, despite everything Sony's tried to do to screw with its reputation, well, like games like that, the fact that they don't get any recognition, I'm actually over the moon that Nintendo finally for once didn't get one, because let's be real, it wasn't a Nintendo year this year. I know a lot of people like yourself like Echoes to Wisdom, but it is a mid-game for what they traditionally will put out.
Oh, 100%. It does not deserve any awards.
I
except
thought it would
for
get
maybe
nomination just because it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I was surprised.
If anything,
that
it's like best family game or something. Sure, then it would deserve it. But no, it's a delightful, great game that does not deserve a single award. No.
And I mean, with Erdtree, it's like, when you think about games like Tekken 8 that did really, really well, they didn't get that kind of thing. Helldivers, Space Marine 2, like there's other games that could have gotten that extra bump. Hell, Balatro, which by the way, we're going to talk about in our side quest. Chris doesn't even know that. I'm just letting him know that for the first time. Balatro, after the Game Awards, December is the biggest month that Balatro's ever had in terms of getting like either playership or getting new purchases.
That's crazy.
Because people didn't... Because here's the thing. We all pretend like every gamer knew about Balatro. You don't understand like how niche some of these things still go. Not everybody is sitting there reading every IGN article that comes out, that spends like hours on Reddit looking through what's going on. The Game Awards is the one time they pay attention to stuff. And that, in the same reason that I'm so glad Metaphor won, because Atlas finally got their flowers, and that gave them the chance to finally get... I would love to know how well Metaphor does by the time that, you know, let's say the winter's over. I'd love to see if they got like a good bump for it, because they deserve it. They obviously still have a lot of sales to their games, but like they deserve better. But they don't have the same power that, you know, the marketing of a Square Enix does. So, but either way, like Erdtree, going back to them getting the nomination, just it didn't make sense from a standpoint of like, they've already got their flowers, man. Give it to like somebody else deserves it.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's Elden Ring 2. It's not Bloodborne 2. It's not Dark Souls 4. It's just more of Elden Ring. They didn't need that.
No.
And then the other game, and we might differ on this one, but I don't think Black Myth Wukong should have been there either. And it's not because I don't think it's a bad game, but like my reasons for it are threefold. One, it's not nearly as critically well reviewed. And I know that's not necessarily the total prerequisite, but like it's the lowest rated game out of the 6 of them by a long shot. Because almost all of them are 90s, and that one was like an 83, 84, I think it was. And it's not necessarily saying, like, again, it's not Game of the Year quality, but there were other games that reviewed better. On top of that, and this is an actual, what's the term I'm looking for? Not metaphor. Either way, like, it's a personal thing. But, like, no one I know talks about this game. So, like, I don't know where, like, already the critical acclaim is not nearly as high, and I don't feel like people outside of the Souls community are talking that much about it, and I don't even feel like they're talking about it that much because I still hear more about Elden Ring and Bloodborne, for God's sakes. Hell, I hear more about Hollow Knight getting a new game with Silksong than I do about Black Myth Wukong.
Where is Silksong?
Oh, it's coming. It's this year for sure.
It's a Switch to day one release.
But the third one, and this is the most important to me, is I honestly feel like the only reason it got the nomination is because it was the best Soul game of the year. Like, because it broke Steam records.
Thing.
And here's the thing, and I said this, I don't know if I said this at any point when we were podcasting, probably because we didn't ever really talk about the Game Awards much, but like, I've said it so many different times in different chats and such. This isn't the Billboard Top 50 awards for games. This is the encompassing of critical acclaim, community feedback, all of this. And the fact that Black Myth is in there, to me, is a reflection of just the pure numbers that it generated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Now, I haven't played the game. If I had played it and thought it was the best thing I played last year, then obviously I'd have a different opinion. But yeah, like, I do agree that if for the game of the year, excuse me, I don't remember, it's 5 or 6 nominations or whatever it is, but the amount of games that are there, like, they should all be basically the top 6 games rated throughout the year from user reviews and critic reviews, right? Like, so it should definitely be the top ones, because that's the whole point. Just because a game sold an incredible amount of copies doesn't make it the best game. Or else Fortnite would win every single year, because the amount of people who are still throwing money into that game is astronomical. And it's definitely not Game of the Year. It's just very popular, but there are things that do it a lot better. It's kind of the reason that you won't see certain, Marvel movies make, an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. Now, obviously, the movie industry is completely fucked up when it comes to all its awards and stuff.
Should have been won the Oscar for Best Picture, because let's be honest, it was the best fucking picture.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you take, I don't know, the original Captain Marvel movie, like, that's not going to win Best Picture, but a shit ton of people went and saw it in theaters, more than probably what did win Best Picture, right? Like, Nosferatu in theaters might be one of the best movies ever, and it's out there, but it's still only going to be a certain amount of people that see it because it's vampires and scary as hell or something, right? Like,
yeah.
Gaming.
And I think with movies it's even harder because there's just so much more of it.
Oh yeah.
And especially because, let's be honest, movie critics as a whole are nothing like the people who casually watch movies.
Oh,
whereas
yeah, exactly.
Game critics, generally speaking, are pretty much like lock in step with with the average gamer. Now, that being said, I'm not talking about IGN, who just refuses to give anything below a 7, but like, the average game reviewer is us.
Yes. We're doing it right now. Look at us. Look at us now.
Like,
who would have thought?
There isn't the Roger Ebert. Is that his name? Roger Ebert?
Yeah.
There isn't that of video games, really.
Yeah, no, there isn't, and yeah, is there? No, I guess there isn't. Yeah,
no,
like,
not
there's
really.
No.
I mean, just even looking at, because I looked up like the best rated games for Metacritic from this year, and again, I'm not using Metacritic as a basis. I'm just saying that there are games that overall were getting better critical acclaim. That's just on one front, but like UFO 50, which was a huge deal for a while.
Yes.
Tekken 8. Also, Animal Well, which I'm so sad. I felt so bad for Donkey, and I can't remember the name of the solo developer for this game. But like, Balatro is just so goddamn heavy that just there's no room for them. Any other year, they would have cleaned up an indie, but Balatro existed.
Yeah, I don't think they're upset. I think they're like, fuck, I'm also addicted to Balatro. They're probably playing Balatro while they were waiting for the nominee and nomination.
But like outside, like even other in the PC world, Satisfactory was just a huge deal to a lot of people in the PC space.
Yeah.
Let's see, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is another big one for me. But granted, that was released earlier in the year, so it was gonna have a much harder hill to climb.
Yeah.
Just scrolling up a little bit more to see if there's anything, because a lot of these are also reports and stuff. But Dragon Dogma 2, Tactical Breach Wizards, which I think is actually a fun game that people should take a crack at. It's like XCOM sort of meets like wizardry, which is funny.
Okay, I have to check that out.
But yeah, like there were other and like Helldivers isn't even in this list that Metacritic provided. So like there are other games like Helldivers. To me, was also like from the sense of like sales and cultural phenomenon is already bigger than Black Myth. And again, this is some personal bias because we played it, but like we look at different circles. We peruse social media when it comes to gaming. Black Myth is not nearly as like enthusiastically talked about. And I know this is somebody who watched people nonstop talk about Bloodborne and talk nonstop about Elden Ring. This didn't happen with Black Myth.
Yeah.
So like I'm not saying that it didn't deserve any sort of nomination, but I'm thinking in the company that was kept in 2024, I really do feel like in my heart of hearts that it was only there because of its cultural significance to China and that it broke Steam records.
Yeah, I think it's very much the numbers game for sure. Like it broke Steam records, therefore must be game of the year because no other game has sold that much and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean aside from that, Astrobot makes perfect sense. We knew it was going to get a nomination.
Oh yeah.
Balatro, you have to put one indie game in there, and if it wasn't going to be Animal, it was going to be goddamn Balatro. Rebirth, we knew from the very beginning that was getting a nomination. Metaphor was my surprise. I was hoping they would. I was shocked they did. Because Atlas never gets their flowers.
I did not think it was going to be there because Final Fantasy VII would just take its spot. Like
I legitimately thought we were sooner going to get the Silent Hill 2 remake up there. I thought we'd see maybe Space Marine, Helldivers, maybe an Echoes of Wisdom long before Metaphor. And that was with Metaphor being like the second highest rated game of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was I was ready to be pissed because I thought it wasn't even going to get a Game of the Year nomination, and it reviewed better than Rebirth did.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from that, like anything else you want to take out of the Game of the Year conversation? Because I honestly, like the other awards are kind of nothing at this point.
No. I besides obviously the Black Myth stuff, I think every other game that was there deserved to be there. It was a tough year.
I mean, it was also a tight year for just a very few number of games winning more than once. Only 6 games won more than one award. And that was Astrobot, which won 4, which was the king, obviously. Balatro and Metaphor won 3. Black Myth, Helldivers, and Hellblade won 2. Also Hellblade, or not Hell, well, I guess Hellblade 2, but Helldivers still getting flowers, getting 2 awards for, I think it was Best Multiplayer Game and Best Ongoing Game, I think. It was either Best Action Game and Best Ongoing or Best Multiplayer. It was Best Multiplayer and Best Ongoing. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
But like, I was shocked because again, it got released early in the year and it was basically dead. Like it's not, but like it was dead in terms of Sony essentially killed any momentum it had.
Yeah. Oh, Sony, you had such a good thing going. It's not like it's bad. Like there's still tons of people.
And I mean, they're sort of back to form. I mean, obviously the Illuminator are there now. We've played I've played. I don't know. Have you played since the new update?
Yeah, I played last Thursday.
So like it's still got its vibe there, and it's another one of those games like the Ackman who I watch on YouTube said it great, where it's just like this is a game that is part of the list of games that once in a blue moon you'll go back with your friends and be like, hey, you guys want to fucking play a couple rounds?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's just that perfect game where it's just like out of nowhere. It's like Left 4 Dead for us, where it's just like, hey, you want to go play a fucking couple rounds?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah.
But the more important thing. And this is easily the best Game Awards that I can remember, is by the sheer just shellacking of games that they threw at us. Even the pre-show was filled with stuff. Yeah, even
the pre-show. Yeah,
there was the Ninja Gaiden thing. There was that Sifu soccer game.
Yeah, Sifu soccer.
I think it was called Rematch, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember the name. I was calling it Sifu Soccer as well.
But like, they pummeled us with games, and like. They always do that with, like, say, Summer Game Fest. This was different. This was games that I felt like actually was aiming at people, because the game, like, let's be honest, the Summer Game Fest was a lot of mobile and gotcha junk, and a lot of game as a live or live service stuff.
Yeah.
This time it wasn't nearly that as much.
Mm-mm. There was a little bit of it near the middle or the end, because they always got to have something.
Well, there's always that down period, and like we even joked at one point, it's like, well, it's a 3-hour show. We were going to eventually get to the Fortnite and mobile section.
I mean, they pay the bills, right? So,
but like, The Witcher is your first game.
Yeah, The Witcher,
which no one was expecting.
Huge, and you could definitely tell this was like an anniversary. I think this was like the 10th annual Game Awards or something. I think it was their 10th anniversary.
Yeah, no, they pulled out all the stops for this.
They pulled out all.
They pulled out
stops.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, holy shit! That guy came out. Fucking, I wanted to stand up and give a standing ovation. I was so happy. He came out high
as shit, but
he was high as shit. Right. He was high as shit, and I love that. That just makes me respect him even more.
But yeah, like to be getting that off the bat, and then to end with two shockers, which was Okami coming back, and then seeing Naughty Dog's next game, which is a new IP, which I know a lot of conservatives are not happy about, because apparently a conventionally attractive woman means the game must be woke.
Yeah, like, oh, it doesn't start, like, what?
Which, by the way, the fact that so many people were like, no one would find that person attractive, me going, dude, tomboys, man.
Yeah, and it's not even something new. It definitely gave off a vibe of like Alien 3 meets Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's not even like it was like
she was fighting with a sword that looked like it was being driven by sound.
Yeah. Like, it looked awesome. And okay, so she cut off a lot of her hair. Yeah, that's what I would do too if I was going to go fight with a sword in space, because it would probably get in the way. Having no gravity and hair probably sucks. It's probably
and
everywhere.
Also, all you guys that are like, she's not attractive, if she was naked with and she pulled your pants down, I think you'll find a reason to find an interest in her. So, chill out a little bit. But God, how many things do we talk about here that came out? Like, obviously, like, the Witcher trailer was just a masterfully put together trailer. That was cinematic
so good.
Excellence. And I know a lot of times people will be like, oh, another cinematic trailer. Guys, it's The Witcher 4. You don't need gameplay.
Yeah, you don't need gameplay. You know what it's going to look like. Yeah.
Like, Intergalactic is a little frustrating because you're not seeing gameplay, but this is also probably a game that's like 4 years out.
Yeah.
And also, it's Naughty Dog. You know what you're getting into. So there are exceptions to the rule. More often than not, though, like, say, for example, when we got, like, way back in the day with the Xbox with Contraband, where it was just artwork and what's the song?
Oh, I don't remember the song.
Lowrider.
Yes. Yep, there it is.
That's not a trailer.
No.
We don't know what it is. We don't really know much about the studio. That doesn't work. Intergalactic, while it was cinematic, we know, generally speaking, what Naughty Dog does. Yeah. So, it's fine. Witcher 4, I think we've figured out at this point what Witcher is. I don't think they're going to turn it around like a Yakuza game and suddenly be like, now it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
And even though they did that with Cyberpunk and it worked. So, well, it didn't work at launch, but besides the point.
Yeah, work as in like the concept or the actual physical workings of the game working.
Like, to go on with that, like, even in the same vibe, Onimusha's back.
Yeah.
Which
there's that one.
I wouldn't have ever thght would happen ever again. You got a new Sonic racing game. If you want to take a real left turn, pun intended.
I like what you did there. Yeah, no, that Sonic game. I'm probably one of the few people in our group that's like actually so excited for that. But great. I love the Sonic. I love Sonic Racing.
Sonic Racing All Stars is a fucking great game.
Yeah. Oh. Then there was
Split Fiction, the new Yosefara's game.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks really fucking cool. I love that concept. I mean, his games are always so cool. It's always like that two-player co-op.
It's always you buy one copy. Because that's what a fucking co-op game's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that guy. Just his personality and the games he comes out with. It's like he really should be in making movies, but instead he's making interactive movies basically. And God, they hit every single time. Every single one of them is so good. I played all of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other stuff, because I'm looking through my Steam wish list to see what stuff I added, because I can't remember what games were what, because some of the names are kind of blending at this point. Oh,
there was also that
Midnight Murder Club.
Oh yeah, that looks really cool.
I immediately saw when that's going to be our next multiplayer game when that sucker comes
that's
out.
good. That's a group of people getting together having just fun nights. That's what that is.
Yeah, because I mean it's essentially a game where you and I think it's you and a partner are playing in this dark mansion. You have a flashlight you can use, but it obviously gives away your position. It's the idea of you're trying to kill other people without them being able to see that you're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
One move away, that was one of them. That's basically like a 3D unpacking.
Yes, that looked really nice. That looked cozy.
I know that you're not at all upset that a new Slay the Spire's coming out to add to your backlog.
That is like a day one purchase for me. There is no way that is not a day one purchase. That game like sucked me in. Oh my God. I played it on Game Pass and then immediately went and bought it on my Switch so I could keep playing. God, ridiculous.
There was Dispatch, which I think was like the dating sim sort of meets like superhero dispatch game.
Yeah, superhero dispatch game. Yeah.
And I'm trying, because Stage Fright's on the list. It's on my wish list. I'm trying to remember what Stage Fright was.
Stage Fright. I don't remember Stage Fright based on the name.
It was an escape room made by the Overcooked developers.
Oh, right. That looked pretty cool.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So there was also the ones that were on mine. What else stood out to you?
There was the Shadow of the Colossus guy. I cannot remember his name. Fumito something. I know that his first name is like F-U-M.
I think was that Project Robot they called it at the time?
Yeah, Project Robot. And it was like Shadow of the Colossus, but the Colossi are on your side and they're robots. And it's just like this calamity shadow coming. And he just like climbs up to the top of this robot, but then flies off in its head as the rest of the body just like dies in whatever the hell is coming. It's like, I don't know what this is, but I'm so intrigued.
I've never enjoyed any of their games, but like every time I see that they come up, I'm like, well, that's at least a good like million people that are fucking losing their minds.
It's funny. It's also Shadow of the Colossus. I've beaten it twice, once on PS3 and once last year or the year before on PS5. And it's like, I have a love-hate relationship with that too. I love the concept. I think the climbing of the bosses and stuff is really cool, but like some of the traversal is just a little boring and empty, and it's just kind of like running to 12 bosses in a row. But for some reason, I still get very excited by the concept of it. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Obviously, Turok getting a new game as well, which who the fuck had that on their bingo card?
Not me. No, I thought Turok was dead forever. Just forever.
Arc Systems Works working on a Double Dragon game.
Yes.
Which I went, yeah. If I wanted anybody to bring back Double Dragon, those are the tips I want to do it.
Yeah. And then Dave the Diver getting, a jungle DLC, which I'm very curious of because the whole concept is you're a diver, and if he's going to the jungle,
you were saying like, what the hell are they going to do?
And there better be a big fucking massive like lake in the middle of this jungle.
I'm telling you, man, Anaconda DLC. Ice Cube's coming in.
I mean, the DLC they've had, that would not surprise me. Like, it has Godzilla DLC, and I played it, and it's fantastic.
Oh, I almost forgot about the best trailer. The Outer Worlds 2 trailer.
Oh, Outer Worlds 2.
Where it was like from the makers of Neverwinter Nights 2. And what was the other two that they were talking about? Like now
I don't remember.
It was like one other game, and then they were like, and Fallout New Vegas 2, like it was Fallout,
which is Fallout 3 2.
3 2.
Yeah, they were very, very funny.
That
trailer knew its audience. Yeah. Oh yeah, they knew.
Apart from that, Mafia: The Old Country just giving us a little more, which. Again, you don't need much to tell me to want to play a Mafia game at this point.
No.
And then the last thing I can think of, actually, I'll say one more thing before the real last big thing that I liked. My God, Randy Pitchford coming out and talking about Borderlands 4 was hilarious because no one gave a shit.
No one cares about that guy, and
they don't like the guy to begin with.
Yeah.
And like basically the game to most people is not even dead. It's we just don't care.
No, it's kind of been done
The
a
movie kind of
lot.
also has not helped.
No, that has not helped. I feel like there's not enough gap between Borderlands games anymore because it was last year or the year before that Tiny Tina's
Yeah, Tiny Tina's
Wonderlands or
Wonderland.
whatever came out, and then just a couple years before that, they're like, Borderlands is back. Borderlands 3, this is crazy. It's been so long. It's like, no, you made the
I would honestly say
pre-sequel.
it's much like Assassin's Creed. It needs to go away for a while.
Yeah, like it's yeah, like
Like it needs a 5-year break.
yes, Borderlands needs a 5-year break
Like Randy,
for someone to actually
You
care.
must have a second idea that you've come up
Yeah.
with in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Like, oh God. Yeah, they need a new idea.
And like he almost felt like he was like Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan came out on Raw for when they debuted on Netflix last week and people booed the shit out of him.
Yeah,
Because
he's not a good person.
he's and it's not even like the political stuff. It's just people are sick and tired of him because everybody knows he's a self-righteous piece of shit.
Yeah.
And he's not
He is.
actually good for the industry. Randy Pitchford is not good for the industry.
No, he's a piece of shit. I remember there was one time he came out for some other announcements and something technology wise didn't work with the presentation or something. And he immediately started like blaming the backstage people and the venue, like live on stage, and then the audience booed him. Like what are you
like,
doing? Why are
Those
you
the guys
such a
that
piece
keep
of
the lights
shit?
on, man. Don't do that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really brought me so much joy to see him come out to silence.
Yeah. Yeah, he's lost the industry.
But the ultimate thing for me, I don't know the guy's name, but the motherfucker from the intro to Helldivers coming out in full armor, giving us a speech, and just dropping, hey, here's fucking a massive expansion that includes the third race you've been waiting for months for now. And I went, oh shit, I need to update Helldivers while we're watching.
Yeah, that was so good.
That
Him
was an
coming out-
E3 moment.
Yeah, that was an E3 moment for sure. That was an E3 moment. Kind of like also with Harrison Ford coming out, it kind of gave me that Keanu Reeves for Cyberpunk 2077 E3 moment.
Like, this is why, like, I know a lot of people really don't like Jeff, but, like, he is the closest thing we've got to what we used to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the closest thing to having these sort of moments of celebrities popping out, these moments of just, like, trailers that just define a show or define a month or define, like, even, like, whatever period you want to go over. Like, there's just...
Yeah.
Summer Game Fest and the Game Awards are providing that. No one else is anymore. Sony
It's
State
the
of Play
two things
doesn't
I
do
look
it.
forward to.
Xbox's Showcase don't do it. Nintendo's Directs don't do it. This is what
No.
we've got. I know you may
Yeah.
not like the guy. I know you may not like their format sometimes, but this is the best we've got.
100%.
And you better support it because if we don't support this, we're not going to have anything at all.
Yeah.
It's going to be just corporate trailer stuff. And we
Yeah.
already hate that. Because almost
Yeah.
every State of Play we get mad about because it's corporate bullshit.
Actually, speaking of corporate bullshit, we're actually not mentioning the best part of the entire show, which was the two old men from the Muppets who literally ripped on
I
the
thought you were
Game
going to talk
Awards.
about the Baldur's Gate dev just ripping into the industry when he was doing the Game Award nominees.
That was also fantastic. He went into it and he was like, it's not your developers, it's you. It's not the game industry, it's you. Like, he blamed all those companies because he
And
can.
like they did the best they could overall the show to really take cracks at the industry. Obviously, like I said, the two.
Yes.
What are the Muppets names again? I always forget.
I always forget too because I just called them the two
It's the
miserable
two grumpy
old
old
men.
dudes.
Yeah.
But like they took
God.
shots at Jeff's expense too, which by the way, that's what that again. I know people hate Jeff, but like the man has a sense of humor to take shots at himself. Because like the one joke was like they were talking about like, oh, like Jeff, you know, he's such buddy with Kojima, and he goes, yeah, do you think Kojima knows that?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. But then also
yeah.
like taking good cracks at the like again. And also to give that that new award, like what's the name of the new award they put up for the guy who was helping out the people get the jobs?
It was. Let me just quickly pull it up. I had it up here for a second. Game Changer Award.
There we go. Yeah. So like they did the best that they could while not outright say like he even did a speech saying like we're really saddened to hear about all the losses of these jobs that have happened. We hope that you know this can be something that gets solve in the future. It won't, by the way. But,
No.
But, like, to have all of that, like, it's as good as it's going to get. That's also why I really wanted Balatro to win, because I really wanted to see it get stuck to AAA developers that you fucking failed this year, because they did.
Yeah, just one guy from Saskatchewan, Canada, making a freaking card game, and
because he just
it
wanted
blowing
to.
up, just because he wanted to, and he's got the right idea where he's like, "There's going to be no paid DLC for the most part, at least."
Yeah, guy just randomly shows up and said, "By the way, here's some more decks with all your favorite games that we just have crossovers for somehow."
Yeah, he's never going to let it become actual gambling or anything like that. He doesn't want it in casinos. Oh, just a lovely human being.
Yeah,
what a lovely game.
It just overall, it was just, I like, apart from the couple of dead moments, which again is a 3 to 4 hour show, you're going to get it no matter what.
100%.
That was an incredible watch. I saw people talk about how it was like a terrible show, and I went, did we watch the same thing? Not to be like, you're wrong in your opinion, but I'm like, I don't know what else they could have done outside of, like, I don't know, pulling a new Zelda or whatever out of their ass, which you're not always going to get.
No, but also kind of, because Okami is a lot like Twilight Princess, and they announced Okami 2, as well as The Witcher 4, and like a new Naughty Dog game. And like there's so many big announcements that were like, they were unexpected because it just felt like those things would either never happen or like way far in the future.
I think it's a conversation to have someday. I don't know if anybody follows Tim Kaine on YouTube, the guy who used to develop for Obsidian back in the day.
Oh, 100%. I do, yeah.
He did a video recently, like, what do gamers want? Here's the reality is, gamers know what they don't want. And a lot of times what people probably saw in that show is, I didn't see enough games that I like, so it was a bad show. It's like with State of Play is where they go, well, I don't care about any of these games, so it was a bad thing. It's the same with, like, Essential months, except for this month. This month was actually a pretty bad month overall for PlayStation Essential.
We cannot justify Suicide Squad, unfortunately.
But like, a lot of the times you'll see a list of stuff and be like, well, I don't care about any of those games, so this sucks. It's like, no, it's still good for others. And like, do I care about half of what happened at the Game Awards this year? No, but I recognize what's a big deal to some. There's a lot of people that like don't care about Soulsborne games. And yet I saw Elden Ring, what's the full name of it? I'm just scrolling here. Elden Ring Night Rain. I don't give a fuck about that game, and I know it's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Okami.
New Elden Ring.
I don't even remember. I don't know if I finished, like, that's how long ago. I don't remember if I even finished the game or not. Do I care necessarily? Am I going to play it at lunch? Probably not, but I know it's a big deal. Project Robot. I don't give a shit about those games. I know it's a big deal to people. It's like, there's got to be something there for you. If somehow this show didn't have something for you, I don't know what you're here for. I don't know what you're playing at this point. I'd love to know.
Yeah, like if you think it's a bad show,
I guess I'm like, you must be an EA Sports guy. I don't know. I don't know what else is for you.
No, there was like the rematch soccer game. Yeah, but that's more European.
But
obviously.
No, that looks like a good sports game, Chris. Come on.
It does look like a good sports game. So maybe there wasn't enough of the bad one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's either people were expecting more Madden or like Half-Life 3. I don't know what else we could have.
It feels like two things. One, there were just certain games they wanted to see and they didn't get, so they were just already predisposed to be upset. It's like every time a State of Play happens and the next Uncharted doesn't get announced, right? Like just people are like, well, that's bullshit. This should be a thing by now. Or it's just simply the genres that they play the most weren't represented nearly as much, and they think that automatically means that their voice isn't heard. Where it's like, guys, a lot of this is developers paying them to put it on. It's just your publisher that you like or your company that you like not ponying up the money to get their game shown. Like sometimes it's as simple as that, and you can still enjoy the stuff that you like without it being featured. Because most of the games that I played this year or played last year that came out in 2024 didn't get any nominations. Do I care? No. Until Then is still the best game you should fucking play this year from 2024. I don't care that it didn't get any nominations.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. You can't please everybody, and unfortunately it's usually the people who are displeased that speak up the most.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. We do live in an age where negativity is what gets the views. This is why some of our best videos are the ones where we say, like, is this going to ruin Xbox or something? we don't pretend that we don't know that that's what works, but at the end of the day, like, that's not what we are. And we also don't even have 200 subs. Why the hell do we care about what gets the algorithm going? What algorithm are we going to hit with 100 and something subscribers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I had a blast. I got to hang out with my friends and watch some dumb shit happen. I was happy.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Anything you want to add?
No, I honestly, even though we didn't, podcast or live stream the awards.
Look, I learned my lesson. We weren't going to do that again.
No, that's also, like 3 and a bit hours. But for a little behind the scenes, me and Adam still watched them together with a couple other friends, and it was one of the most delightful nights for me. So I'm so glad we got to watch them together.
Yeah. But that's going to do it. And obviously, hey, when things like these happen again, you can always join us in our Discord, which linktr.ee/pixelplay podcast will get you the links to that, along with our socials and where you can find the podcast if you want to see it in other areas. But obviously, if you have the ability to rate the show or, whatever you need to do on any audio platform. Look, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts and audio. I'm a YouTube guy. So if there's any way you can share it, like it, comment, all that jazz, do it. Obviously here on YouTube, like and subscribe. Right now, I'm just going to say flat out, the recap's probably not coming back for a little while because A, the news is basically dead at this time of year, and 2, I don't have nearly as much time as I'd like to devote for that, so I'm sticking with the things that we can do on this because at the end of the day, we're just a couple of dudes talking shop about video games like we were at the bar together. This doesn't need to be a job. So
no,
until we get to a point where it can be a job, I ain't making it one. So well, that'll be something we come to another time. Maybe we'll do some fun stuff, like do some gameplay or something down the road. But
yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
We're just having a blast, just talking. Honestly, like this is stuff I miss. This stuff, like legitimately, for 2 months, like as much as I wanted to get back to it, for my own health, I needed to go away. And I'm glad that we're back because I miss just sitting here chatting. So
me too. I missed it the entire time. I mean, it was also helpful. It was the holidays. There was a lot going on. I got sick too. So it was a lot. So it was a good break as well for me. So
yeah, man,
it all works.
And I hope everybody listening enjoyed this too, because that's all we want to do is we just want to be a couple of bros talking shop. Yep. And if that's what you're here for, we're glad you're here with us for it. So we will see you on the next episode. Obviously, Fridays, we will post up the side quest. We're going to talk about Balatro because, we got the chance just to gush about it. Of course, Chris is not going to miss the opportunity to do that. But we will 100%. See you whenever we see you next. Take care. Bye-bye for now.